Welcome, Leafs fans, to Game Over Toronto. Oops, I have one of this going on. Oh, there you go. I had the audio playing on my desktop, and that was causing it to play again,
Oh,
right? Yeah. Well, welcome to Game Over Toronto, everyone, where the Leafs took on the San Jose Sharks today in a fun game. I'm sure a lot of you enjoyed that. I'm joined here by my good friend Lauren. Lauren, how's it going? How are
I'm
you?
good.
This is my first stream with you in 2024.
Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad that we could hand San Jose Sharks their 12th consecutive loss. Handily handing them their 12th loss in a row. My goodness.
Yeah,
Uh
the Leafs I guess nightmares against bad teams. Yeah, the Sharks are worse than that, I guess. The curse the San Jose curse this season runs stronger than the Leafs' inability to play against bad teams. Uh and yeah, the Leafs won 7-1 against the San Jose Sharks. So we're going to get into the game, but remember later on in the show we will be talking about the big news of the weekend. William Nylander signed in his 8-year deal, 11.5 AAV. That's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned in for that. And we'll be taking your questions at the end of the show. So be active, put your messages in chat, and we will be looking at them. But let's talk about the game first, Lauren. It started off the first period. We had a lot of chances. I mean, I'm looking at the shots in the period. It was 16-5. And a couple pings off the bar. I believe like two of them hit off the bar. It took a whole almost 17 minutes, 16 minutes and 48 seconds before we finally get one in, and it was none other than Morgan Riley, someone I'm really praying and hoping for to see in the All-Star, but I don't know if he'll quite make it. We'll see. Uh he gets a chance off of the guy we were going to talk about, William Nylander. Nylander gets he gets chased off to the blue line. Raleigh drops in to the open space and puts it back behind the Sharks net and puts us up 1-0 to start the game.
yeah, it was a hell of a play from William Nylander. And the exact kind of play that is the cause for the contract extension that is highly debated in terms of its value, if it's overvalued or undervalued or what. And again, like you said, we're going to talk about it. I mean, future All-Star Morgan Riley, he's what, like 66,000 votes off?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
Leafs fans,
close.
come on, let's be real. We're going to get that probably by tomorrow, especially with how the Leafs played tonight. Um,
I saw a lot of votes on Twitter, a lot of
yeah.
cries to get him on, so that's fun.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting just for sure to see if he gets it. It looks like at this point it's going to be Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, if nothing else.
Mhm.
But with Morgan Riley only being off by 66,000 votes, I think it's safe to say we're probably going to have three Leafs at the All Star game. But yes, a hell of a shot from Morgan Riley, picking the top corner perfectly. That's where you want your defenseman to be. I
Mhm.
mean, all night William Nylander was a threat at the blue line? Question mark. Which it turns out to be a happy surprise, and Morgan Riley ends up capitalizing, but not the only Leaf to score a goal to finish off the first period.
Mm-hmm. And literally 34 seconds later, Mr. 34 himself, on a Leafs power play.
Yep.
He nets his first for the night. That's his 31st goal in the season. Holy crap. And it was a beautiful play back and forth between Marner and Matthews. Man, when they're going, they are such a joy to watch. These guys are so goddamn talented. And what another like crazy goal by Matthews from an impossible angle. I just can't fathom the way that these
Fade
goals go
away.
in.
Yeah, literally fading away like his back foot on the far side of the face-off circle. Like just silliness. The angle is I mean, I took trigonometry, but I don't know what angle that was. It was absurd. It was miraculous. It was remarkable. It was put whatever adjective you would like to put in front of it because it was all of that and more. And the second assist for William Nylander, I mean, in the first period. And
Hmm.
it was it was a great way to start the game. It's funny, there was definitely a couple of opportunities that earlier in the game they could have been up 4-0 by the end of the first period. It didn't happen. It does take them till the end of the first to get one in on Capo Kakinen. They will end up chasing him, but It was a strong start, and right from the beginning, it was just felt like it was just way I mean, it's the Sharks, so it's hilarious that we're using this euphemism. But it was just wave after wave after wave after wave of offensive threats from the
Hmm.
Leafs, and the Sharks were just worn down, man. Like, they started off they played pretty strong in the first 10 minutes of the game, like, it was tighter than I was expecting it to be, even though the shots were significantly tilted.
Hmm.
They were relentless. To quote Max Kellerman, relentless.
Exactly, exactly. And yeah, like we said, the end off the period, holy crap, 16 shots to 5. Like this is completely expected though. We're playing against the
Yeah.
Sharks who are clearly not a great team, and they start the second period off with a bang as well. Um 2 goals in that period. Marner getting his first of the night, just like less than a minute in. And another
54
beauty
seconds.
goal, 54 seconds, another beauty goal.
Yep.
Um, how how did he do that? Like that deflection was a thing of beauty. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Lifting his leg up to get out of the way. Oh man. And then another like he was pretty far out. And the way he reacted, I guess, like he made it seem like this was like just another day for Marner. Like this is something that's expected. And it's just insane the way that these guys are getting their goals, and like the skill level that's being displayed by these top guys.
Yeah. Matthew in the chat having a really good point. The Leafs starting to see what happens when you start the game on time. Yeah, you're right, Matthew, and it's true. Like, from the beginning of the game, the Leafs really seemed to have their foot on the gas, and it continued all through the second period. I mean, it's the second time in the game that they score goals within, a minute and a half of each other,
Hmm.
right? Pontus Holmberg, you talk about beautiful goals. The Mitch Marner goal was definitely like, that's a crazy tip. I think he's actually tipping for like to create like a rebound and a deflection so that somebody can get it.
Hmm.
But he deflects it and it just sneaks right in under the arm of Capo Kakinen. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you take that shot 100 times, you maybe make it once, maybe. Like, it was basically shot on what, like a 3-degree angle to the
Yeah,
goal line.
in
Like,
another
it
insane
was
angle.
completely like just and that's okay, so that's a goal where I mean, at that point, the Sharks are still in it, right? Like, it's 3
Hmm.
nothing, but you can't hang that goal on Capo Kakinen. Like, that's I mean, tips are already hard enough to save,
Hmm.
but when they're at that angle, like, you don't even think that you're really trying to stop the puck. You're trying to make not create a great rebound chance, but instead it goes past him, and it was just like I mean, he didn't celebrate like Mitch Marner normally does, and I
Hmm.
think he was maybe a little bit surprised, but I don't know. It's hard to say. But the Pontus Holmberg goal, which I know is what you're going to talk about
Hmm.
next,
Hmm.
and Mitch Marner coming in the second intermission saying, "Oh well, he's my favorite player in the entire game of hockey." Um, what a goal from Pontus Holmberg! Like, has Pontus Holmberg arrived now, Harnish?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that one-handed goal, holy crap. What an insane play. And the stuff that he does beforehand was also like impressive, right? Like he's able
Yeah,
to he's getting pressed the entire time by
yeah,
I think it was Burrows, right, on that play.
yes,
And because he isn't able to get the puck to his other side effectively, and he isn't able to get enough space, he decides, hey, screw it, I'm gonna beat you with one hand, not two, and basically pokes it in. And
yeah.
the amount of like the amount of I guess like muscle and skill that's involved with that, like it's hard to move a puck with one hand, to be able to poke it up, get some like good elevation on it too. Like that's a good goal by an experienced player. And I mean, Pontus Holmberg, this is what I believe his first goal of the season. You
Yeah.
wouldn't have expected that to be his first goal, right?
No, definitely not. I mean, don't get me wrong, Austin Matthews had a good first goal in his career, but that goal is arguably, I would say, a contender so far for the nicest goal so far this season by a Leaf. And that's his first one of the season. Like, to be able to not only stick handle the puck when you're literally holding a guy off with
Mm-hmm.
2/3 of your arm, but to be able to, not to quote the 2000s hit, flick of the wrist, but literally to flick your wrist perfectly so that the puck goes over the pad but under his glove is like
Exactly.
oh my gosh, like,
And
I
you
mean,
could
he's clearly done it in practice, right? Like, that's not something where you've never practiced it before and you somehow miracle pull it off. Like, that's just an absurd move in front of the net. And this season it seems like it's something that the Leafs are trending towards. They seem to be, instead of in years past, let's think of like, let's rewind a little bit. Let's think about like Kapanen a couple years ago, right? He
mhm,
would enter the zone, all kinds of speed, no one there to help, not a good enough goal scorer. So he hooks back and they lose the opportunity. William Nylander, Pontus Holmberg, apparently, Matthew Nyes, Austin Matthews, and even Mitch Marner at times are now going in and no longer just obviously and just at the first opportunity giving it away.
mhm.
They're all now comfortable and becoming more and more comfortable driving to the net, creating some space, and putting it in the back of the net. Like, that's the nicest goal that I think we've seen by a rookie so far this season on the Leafs.
Yeah,
Bar
definitely.
bar
And
none.
I also think it's like interest or it's also good to see that like um they are able to get the puck in and whatnot, right? But we also have a lot of good players this season in particular that can hound and get great rebounds as well, right?
Yep.
Marner, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about his second goal later on in the third, but that's him getting a rebound. Tavares, he's always been great at the rebounds, especially in the power
Yep.
play, and this season Bertuzzi, another guy who's been phenomenal, and I think he's the one who hit it off the bar in the first period, if I remember correctly. But yeah, like we have a bunch of guys here that can that are playing really well, and Marner today, like we'll talk about that power play goal, but yeah, he's been deployed a little bit differently, and
Mhm.
it's interesting to see. We'll that's a hint towards that second goal. But yeah, let's talk about the end of that second period. The Leafs unfortunately do give up one. Their only goal that they end up giving up, it was from a Sharks power play. Benoit
Yep.
gets a hook in on Anthony Duclair, and Henry Thrun, I believe that's what his name is.
Henry Thrun.
Henry
That's
Thrun,
right.
his first goal as a Shark, his first goal in the NHL. It's a tip off of a Grunland shot. Um, I mean, I don't make too much of it. The Sharks did pretty well with catching the Leafs on a long penalty kill. Like they had a long shift, and yeah, what would you thought? What you think about that one goal that the Sharks did end up getting?
I would have loved another Martin Jones shutout. Having said that, he has allowed one goal in basically his last 5 games that he's played for us, and
Yeah.
that's the first power play goal that the Leafs have allowed against a California team in the last 4 games.
Mhm.
So, uh, if you're gonna give one up, ah, especially with how strong the Leafs are playing. There was no question that the Leafs were, even if they didn't score another goal to finish the game,
Uh-huh.
they didn't show any signs of let up. Like,
Yeah.
normally in seasons past and even in games so far this season, there has been times when the Leafs go up, they get a lead, and they take their foot off the gas. And tonight that was not the case,
Hmm.
right? They finished the second period. The shots were 35-13.
Yeah.
Like, 35 shots by the end of the second period is just, it's not common for NHL teams to get that many against another NHL team. Um, and it was I don't love that they got scored on, but
Exactly. Doesn't
I'm
matter.
okay with it. I'm okay with it. That's the one power play goal you've allowed in 4 games. I'm not. I'm in too good of a mood to let that ruin my evening.
Yep, yep, and it's also not that common that we're playing against a team that's a .256 win percentage in the league. Ugh.
Oh,
Yikes, Sharks fans. That's gotta suck.
rough. I'm
But
sorry, Tara Sloan.
talking about the goaltending situation. I
Yes.
actually thought that this would have been a good game to see Dennis Hildeby make his debut because it was a relatively, I guess, a relatively safe bet to see him out there against a Sharks team who's clearly not a great team.
Mhm.
Now, was there a lot of people saying that, hey, this could be a catch game? Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I really want to see Dennis Hildeby out there, and I feel like this would have been an easy team and a
Yeah.
relatively a great opportunity for him, right? What do you think? Do you think we will see him soon? Because Wall, he has there was a he's been practicing again,
Yeah, he
and getting
skated this
some
morning.
exactly and getting some time in. We still don't know how much longer it's gonna take. Apparently, it's still gonna take some time, but he's ramping up, right? And I kind of want to see Hildeby out there before Wall comes back, just to get him a game, right? See what he's all about.
You're being so greedy. We've had 3 goalies this year. Isn't that enough? If you're here and you're watching this and you watch Saturdays, you know that I thought that Hildeby was going to start this game.
Hmm.
I did say that on Game Over on Saturday that I thought this would be the perfect game to give Dennis Hildeby. They would have just beaten this team. They would have been familiar with their play style. They are not playing well. They would have just lost 11 in a row, pushing for 12. And instead, Keefe decides to give him a little bit more runway, which I don't think is a terrible idea, right? I mean, he's played what, 10 games for us so far this season? Like, he's by no means overworked. Now, having said that, you have now played him 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll be like 6 games in a row.
Including a
And
back to
if you
back.
right. And if you so it was 7 then. And then if you play him on Thursday against the Islanders, okay. And then you're going to play him again against the Avalanche. If you do that, there's no way that unless Joseph Will makes a miraculous recovery in the next 4 days, that you start Jones on Sunday against the Red Wings. Like, the Red Wings to start the season, they were playing fairly good. That has definitely plateaued and kind of dropped off a little bit. So I would imagine that if you didn't see, since we didn't see Hildeby's tonight, that if you're going to see him this week, it's going to be on Sunday against the Red Wings. That's my best guesstimation, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, like the Red Wings, I mean, they're also not a fantastic team. They have won 3 in a row. They're 5-5.
Right.
They're they're obviously a better team than the Sharks, and I kind of would have hoped that they threw in Hildeby like against the Sharks, right, where you really are not worried too much. Because with our offensive prowess, I guess, right? Even if Hildeby lets in one, two, three, or whatever, right? I feel like our forwards can more than enough like make up for that, and like added to the fact that like going into it, like any game that Hildeby starts, you know that that Keefe's going to be on the defense to make sure to shelter him as much as possible, right? So
Sure. I do kind of to
would have
some
been nice
degree
though.
understand why you don't start Hildeby on Saturday against the Sharks, because you've played so well in California and it is Martin Jones' old team. Like, I can see the logic behind
Mm,
that. But
yeah.
tonight it's like you're at home, you've had another practice, like he slept in his own bed. Like,
Hmm.
if you're gonna gift wrap him a game to try for the first time,
Yeah.
I'm surprised that it wasn't tonight. I am. Don't get me wrong. I am elated that Martin Jones only let in 1 goal. He had another fantastic showing where he faced less than 25 shots. Like, if you're going to play a goalie for a long stretch of time, then you hope it's in games like this where the Leafs are playing so well defensively and offensively, the full 200 feet of the ice.
Hmm.
So I go back and forth because I also want to see Dennis Hildeby. I do. And I'm not trying to like rain on the fun parade, but I'm also like, maybe we shouldn't be trying to be overly ungrateful and we should appreciate what we have right now. Like, if our goalie is playing this well, like, why would we sit him for a game too? Like,
Yeah. I understand that
he should be
perspective.
rewarded as a goalie to have an opportunity and have this stretch of games. And I think unless Samsonov decides to body swap with Dominic Hasek, that the backup position has been secured by Martin Jones for arguably probably the rest of the season. Don't get me wrong, like, there's a chance that Samsonov might still play NHL games. I just don't know if it's going to be with us.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think it's just more so like not it. I definitely want to I guess what's the word? Reward Martin Jones with playing how great he has been, right? And give him some more games or whatnot, right? But the biggest thing
Yeah.
I feel is making sure that Martin Jones stays healthy, right? He's played so many games in such a
Yeah.
short period of time, like the back to back as well. And he's not a young player either, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't expected coming into the season to play this many games in this short period of time. I think he needs to have some rest because, like you said, we are very short on the goaltender
Yes.
position, and if he
Right.
gets injured, then we're in trouble.
Right. And
But
that's why I do think, like, I go back and forth. Like,
yeah.
if you asked me this like 6 hours ago, my answer might be different.
Uh-huh.
It's legitimately terror worthy because you want him to play well. You want to give him a good stretch of games because when they're in a good rhythm, they are less likely to injure themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
He's played well. You want to reward him with more games for playing well. At the same time, if you overuse it, you might break it, a la Joseph Wool. Right?
Yeah.
And so we want to avoid that because if he goes down, then we're relying on our fourth string goalie to come in and save us out, which is less than ideal. And I don't think the circumstance that any of us want to see him in, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to
Exactly.
see him come into a game because Martin Jones got hurt because we overplayed him, because we
Mm-hmm.
played him 2 back-to-backs in a row,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I think they do bring him on against Detroit, especially because I just looked at Detroit's schedule and that is their back-to-back game as well, their second half of a back-to-back as well. So
Right.
it would make sense. So hopefully, I guess I'm just really uh really excited to see him on, and like I hope that we
Yeah.
do get to see him and yeah, get some rest from Martin Jones, because yeah, he has been playing a ton of hockey as of late.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the third and let's finish it off. In the third period, the Leafs start off again strong. A minute and 30 seconds in, a minute and 27 to be exact.
Yep.
Jake McCabe gets the goal, and it's all off of Marner again, drawing in a ton of the Sharks. And McCabe's able to drop in, get it all open, and get a shot off. This is the second time like that's happened where a defenseman has dropped in and looked for offensive play, right? McCabe's able to get a second goal today, and Riley did the same thing earlier, and he got a goal, right? What was your thoughts on that goal and the way that our defense has kind of been contributing a little bit more?
I mean, the Leafs are still what, like, I want to say less than 28th in the league in terms of goals scored by defensemen.
Mm-hmm.
So to have 2 in one game is like, we just had Christmas, fellas. So thank you. Um, Rarely do we get a goal, like a goal from our blue line. So for 2 in a game, it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
He looked pretty happy. I'm not gonna lie, as the game went on, I was very glad that the Leafs didn't like continue to celebrate as if it was game 7. Like the more goals they scored, the more they were just kind of like, hey, yay.
Yeah.
And they were very mature about it, you know? They acted like they'd been there before.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you can
You
tell
know?
like from the ice time as well. Like he started playing our third line
Yeah.
and fourth line more, and gave our top two lines a little bit more rest. Like today, I
Yep.
believe, our yeah the Robertson Domi Yarncrook line ended up having the most time on ice at the end, right? So,
Yeah.
and that worked out well. We'll talk about the Robertson goal too, and it was
Yep.
on a power play, which was like what the. You would consider that like the third power play unit, maybe the fourth, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk a little bit about that and finish it off. The Leafs get a double, or sorry, the Sharks take a double minor
Yep.
against Simon Benoit. It was Scott Saborn in for a high stick on Benoit. It was kind of unfortunate. Like you could tell that he was not trying to high stick him. He was trying to do a stick lift, ends up
Yeah.
missing, and hits him straight on the bridge of the nose, drawing blood. That sucked. But Benoit, he was perfectly fine. And the Leafs, they go up and score 2 goals on both those power plays. They make him pay, and it was Mitch Marner who gets the first one. Blackwood, sorry, was able to make the initial save, but Marner gets the easy rebound, and then uh, right after that, Nick Robertson rips a 5-hole by the hash and gets a goal as well, and that was the 7-1 victory. The Leafs kind of after that coasted a bit, played the puck and not really pushed too hard. Again, played their third line, fourth line. What was your thoughts on those 2 power play goals and yeah, the game in total?
It was good. It was, I mean, as well-rounded a game as you could expect,
Mm-hmm.
right? They were solid defensively. We had really good goaltending. Martin Jones made a couple of really, really, really good saves that other goaltenders in this organization in the last year haven't been able to make. So that was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely really nice to see William Nylander get his 3rd assist of the night. My goodness, that guy
Yeah.
was busy. Um, the Marner goal, both of the Marner goals were really nice tonight. You have to imagine that Nick Robertson is like a little bit relieved, right? Like he was scratched the last 2 games, in case you weren't aware of that. He
Mm-hmm.
was back in the lineup tonight because Noah Gregor was actually out with illness. So Nick Robertson gets another opportunity and makes good on it. Now, the tricky part of that is that he was being scratched for Pontus Holmberg, who also scored a goal tonight.
Yeah.
Now the Nick Robertson goal, obviously very different from the Pontus Holmberg goal.
Mhm.
But the Nick Robertson goal, like, what a shot. Like, just, I mean, it looked like it had some extra rocket fuel on that thing, didn't it? Like, I'm surprised it
Mhm.
didn't punch a hole in the back of the net.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was it was a it
he
was
had a
a it
great
was a
shot on
heavy
that.
shot. It was a
Yeah.
heavy shot. And again, when he, even though he scored it, and it's only what I think his third or fourth goal of the season,
Mhm.
um, you know, didn't, not a big silly, just, hey, thanks, fist bumps all around, go fist bump your guys on the bench and at least finish it like adults, not celebrating like it's game 7, thank goodness.
Yeah, it's his, 6th goal, but yeah,
Oh,
he
more
got
than
a
that.
little bit
Okay.
more, he got
My
a little
bad.
bit more.
My bad. My
But,
bad.
yeah, I mean, yeah, he needed that goal. It was good to see him get that. And listen, any type of, I guess, competition amongst the bottom six or whatnot is obviously going to be good, right? So
Yeah.
to see both those guys get a goal, fantastic. I want to see more competition. I want to see them both produce because who knows, the season's pretty long. We got hopefully we have a long playoffs as well, and you're gonna need to rely on these guys to carry you through. So yeah, that's important. And you mentioned William Nylander. Let's talk a little bit more about that because yes, he
The game
did.
was so good. I took 1 page of notes. I didn't even write anything on this page. Like, that's how handily the Leafs handled this game. And I knew we were going to talk about the second half.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a very, very easy game, a fun game. But we got something even more exciting, honestly, to talk about. The William Nylander contract finally, after a whole half a season, essentially, we finally got this guy locked in for 8 more years at an 11.5 AAV, putting him at, I believe, he's in top 5 of the most expensive contracts in the NHL right now, right? And he's
Yep.
going to be signed up until he's 36 years old. Lauren, what were your thoughts on this contract that has been a little bit controversial? Fans have been uh have been a little bit I guess conflicted on the term and the more specifically the AAV.
Sure. There's always going to be people that are unhappy, no matter if he signs, if he doesn't, if he signs for $4 million, if he signs for 15. There will always be unhappy people. So
Mhm.
I think the important thing, especially looking at this, is that, is it an overpayment?
No.
Next year, we will consider it an overpayment. Now,
Ooh,
if he's playing as
I don't
well,
know.
if he's playing as well as he is right now next year, maybe not. And in my opinion, because the cap is going to be going up, it's not going to be even in the top 5 by the end of next season, or maybe even by the summer, right? There are free agents that are coming up this summer,
Like
and
Marner next season.
correct, right? And even John Tavares. Now, I don't think he's going to resign for more than that.
Yeah.
And would I have liked him to assign a smaller number? Of course.
Hmm.
Every single Leafs fan wants the number to be less than what is being paid.
Hmm.
Having said that, I am glad that I don't have to watch William Nylander play in another jersey for at least another 8 years. I don't have to have our team play against him to watch another team go and win a cup with him. I don't have to suffer through that. No, we get to keep him in these beautiful jerseys that are behind me and the beautiful jersey that you're wearing for us. And don't get me wrong, it's a lot of money. But the reality is, folks, next year we have Tavares, we have Mitch Marner. Also, his contract is expiring at the end of the season. We are going to not have John Klingberg.
Hmm.
We are not going to have Ilya Samsonov, probably. We are not going to have a bunch of other players. TJ Brody's contract is also expiring. Now, having said that, I know that we're going to have to replace those players,
Hmm.
but we suffer through next year. And then when John Tavares inevitably resigns here so that he can retire as a Leaf, which is what's going to happen, it's going to be for a lesser number. So in my fantasy land, what ends up happening is John Tavares ends up signing what is basically an identical contract as to what William Nylander is playing with this year.
Hmm.
6 and change.
Yeah.
to finish out his season, to finish out his career as a Leaf, and then you ride off into the distance and you pass on the captain, the C captain, to either Morgan Riley or William Nylander at that point, because who knows if when John Tavares retires at some point, if Austin Matthews will have re-signed as a Leaf at that point.
Mhm.
Now, I think that it's an expensive contract. And again, in a perfect world, it would be 11 or 10.5 or 10.88, whatever tickles your fancy. The fact of the matter is it's a lot of money and next year is going to be tough. And then after that, it's the free square on the bingo card because it's what you're already paying John Tavares.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, we'll suffer for next year and then we'll deal with it. Like, I mean, there are people that are already talking about, oh, well, we're got to talk about the Marner extension. Like, literally 5 minutes after the William Nylander extension was announced, people started talking about Marner. Like, let's just be happy. Let's just choose, as a fan base, let's just choose happiness for now, at least for the week. Harnish, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm on the same boat where I'm happy to see Willie sign again. 11.5, honestly, with the way that he's playing this season, now that is the caveat. This season, he definitely deserves that. He deserves every single penny. The Leafs, the whole reason why the Leafs didn't sign him in the off season, right, was because they knew that the number was going to be this 11 mil range. And they're like, hey, if we're gonna commit that much money to you, show us that you can be that type of player, right? And that's absolutely what he has done so far in the season. He's at 57 points in 38 games. That's 21 goals and 36 assists. He definitely deserves this contract, and I'm happy that he signed long term again with the
Mm-hmm.
Leafs, right?
Yep.
This is a guy who has kind of played second fiddle to our top three, right?
Yep.
Um, he has been on that 6 mil contract, and he definitely outplayed that. And especially in the playoffs, he has been one of, if not our best producing playoff player, right? He
Yeah.
has equaled our top three, our big three, I guess, in production when it comes to the
Big
playoffs.
moments.
Yes, exactly. And he definitely deserves to get his money right now. Um, and is it a little bit of overpayment? I mean, I think we're talking about pennies at this point, right?
Yeah.
Um, he
Millions of
definitely,
pennies.
yeah. I mean, he deserves that 11 mil number. Now 11.5, sure, like you would have wanted him to get a little bit less, but it is what it is. At least we have him signed up. At least we have a player of this caliber signed up because he is like a top 10, top 5 player in this league, right?
Yep.
Um, and like you said, yeah, John Tavares is gonna come off the books. But I'm just praying that the cap goes up significantly, right? We know it is gonna go up, but we need it to go up quite a bit because although JT hopefully will take, let's say, or his next contract will probably be 5 mil less. Uh, I mean, Nylander got 6 mil more. Marner, he will he get an upgrade? I'm not too sure. It depends on how he plays the next season, right? And if he does
Yep.
have a standout season, then that's gonna be a little bit more money or whatnot. But at the end of the day, we decided to live and die by this top four playing very top heavy hockey, and Trelivin's just gonna have to be smart with the way that he fills out the rest of the gaps, right? You mentioned we have a ton of guys coming off the books. We have a lot of slots that we need to fill up. That's going to be difficult, but that's something that Treliving is getting paid big money to do. At this moment, us Leafs fans, we got to be excited. We got to be happy because we finally got the big guy signed up long term,
Yep.
and we didn't see him walk. Because what would have been
Yes.
worse than this is seeing a guy of that caliber walk. So I am absolutely excited. That means that my jersey is gonna be primo. It's gonna be good for another 8 more years, and hopefully
Absolutely.
Nylander's gonna retire a Maple Leaf, and I am gonna absolutely love it because I love this player.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, so if in the chat, if you disagree with us, or if you're watching this after the fact and we're not live, what just in a bubble, okay, in a vacuum, you are the general manager of another team that's not the Leafs. Okay. And William Nylander is walked hand in hand by Brad Treliving to July 1st free agency. as a general manager, let's say you have $20 million in cap space. How much are you willing to sign William Nylander for 7 years? Right? How
Mhm.
much does he go for?
I think
How much are other teams willing to pay him?
I absolutely like 11.5. He probably makes 12. Like, I'm not
Oh,
gonna lie,
yeah,
12,
easily.
12.5, not that's
Yep.
not a problem.
Nope.
Um he's gonna get paid regardless of where he
Yes.
goes. Uh
I would rather pay him to stay in our city.
Exactly, exactly. And one important thing to bring up is Nylander, just like Matthews, he's very suited to like Toronto media and the
Yes.
whole spotlight or whatnot. He
Cool as a cucumber.
Exactly. No matter how he's playing, if he's having a bad string or if he's on top of the world as he has been this season, it doesn't look like it's affecting him. And that's absolutely what you need out of a guy playing in probably the biggest spotlight in the entire NHL, right? Um,
Yes.
so yeah, I think I'm happy for him. I have nothing else to say. I'm just happy for him. I'm happy that we have him in the organization, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. I just hope that he's able to, I guess, stick this pace because yeah, he is on a career. He is playing the best hockey he has ever played. Right, he's on a career pace right now. Right,
Yeah.
so the
Like,
one thing that I see a lot of people talking about is, hey, you don't want to sign a guy off of one fantastic year,
yeah.
and then have him regress right back to the norm,
Yes.
back become again less than a point per game player. Uh, but the guy's 27 years old. It seems like he's taken a step every single year, and especially like I said in the playoffs, he's been consistent. So I don't see any
Yes.
problem with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to find the comment so that I can give credit to the person that said it. So, oh, Mark Daigle, Willie gets better every year. I don't think we've seen his ceiling yet. I
There you
think that
go.
that's a true
Yeah.
statement, and this year is proof of that. I think that rarely do players take significant steps forward in their game in terms of defensive responsibility and how much the coach trusts them, only for them to immediately regress the next year.
Hmm.
Like, I can't think of a player that has done that to the degree that it would take for us to think that it was a terrible deal for
Hmm.
William Nylander. And, you know, fair dinkum, in the past couple of seasons and years past, William Nylander wasn't a 200-foot player. He wasn't as responsible defensively.
Yeah.
He still had flares and flashes in the pan of really good plays, right? Really good stick lifts, really good puck retrieval, really good on the forecheck when he was doing it. But this year he has taken his ability and his consistency in that regard to the next level, to the point where he is playing on PK1, right? Like,
Hmm.
he wasn't even on PK2 last year. And so he's taken these significant steps forward, and that is warranting an increase in pay of a significant amount. And, again, in a perfect world, there would be no salary cap, and we could be like the Dodgers and just pay everyone tens of millions of dollars in 20 years from now. But it's not. So we have to do the best with the hand of cards that were dealt.
Hmm.
And we were handed these four incredible players in their youth. We were handed Morgan Riley, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, and Austin Matthews. And we are managing to hold on to those players for the majority of the good part of their career.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so it's going to be a little bit tough to fill out the rest of it. But if they do make a push and if they get goaltending that it seems like are possibly going to be able to have consistently in Martin Jones and Joseph Wall, then maybe it comes together. Like, don't
Hmm.
get me wrong, I don't think we've seen the final roster. I do think at some point before the trade deadline, trades are going to happen.
Yep.
And I imagine that to some degree, Connor Timmins will be traded out and they will get a different defenseman to come in and play. But having said that, like, I don't hate our seventh options right now
Hmm.
on defense. And so, I mean, I don't think it's perfect, but I do think that they have suddenly decided since the new year and since they played a bunch of stinkers at home right after Christmas, that they're going to stick to their structure
Hmm.
and they're being rewarded for it. The whole California road trip, they played the most structured hockey that they've played to date this season. And what did they get? They got 6 of 6 points, and then they continue the train when they get home. Like, I got nothing to complain about, man. Like, I'm happy as all anything with how they played tonight.
Hmm.
It's pay the man. Let him stay. He's perfect for the market. There is nothing you can say to bother him. And he's so excited to be here. Like he's genuinely, he wants to be here. And it's not because he grew up a Leafs fan. It's not because his dad was a Leafs fan. It's not because his dad played for the team. Like he was drafted here. He's fallen in love with our city. And that's all we wanted from our players. And he has rewarded us by signing for 8 years. We
Mhm.
don't have to worry about him walking away when he's 30 years old in the prime of his career still. He has looked at us as a fan base and said, I want you and you want me, so let's be a happy family.
Mhm. Exactly. So all good things. And you mentioned like their top three, Matthews, Marner, and Nylander. Like these guys, in all honesty, like they're chasing down some of the all-time Leafs greats. They probably will end off their careers as like the top three are the best three players in franchise history,
Yep.
right? And that's definitely a recipe for success. Having three of the best guys you've ever had playing in their primes together
Yep.
in the same era, like that is exactly what you want. That's the type of the type of thing that's breeds success, right?
Yep.
And it's only just I don't know. Maybe it's just like the Leaf in me, I guess like the belief or
La
whatnot.
Passion.
Yeah, but it just feels like it's just a matter of time. Eventually, it will break through. So they will they'll get some luck on their hands, and they'll figure some stuff out, and they'll make a big push and ultimately get that thing that we desire most, right?
Yeah.
Now, Lauren, I want to ask you, right? A lot of fans have been saying online or discussing online what would constitute a success. What would make this contract worth it? Is it cup or bust, or are you looking specifically at the level of points, his the way he plays? What are you looking at in William Nylander in the upcoming years to say that hey, this contract was well deserved and it justified?
I think he needs to play like he's playing now.
So
And I
the
think he
same point
needs,
per game pace.
yes,
Okay.
like that is, if all of the rumors are true, where they went into the season saying we want $11 million, and the Leafs went, okay, prove it to us.
Hmm.
Okay, well he has done that. He proved to me that you're an $11 million player. Here he is. He has shown up.
Hmm.
So if you are able to play the way that you are now, and then elevate another level again in the playoffs,
Hmm.
don't get me wrong. I think all of us Leafs fans, and not even the good Leaf fans necessarily, are saying if we don't win a cup with this in this window, then it's been a bust.
Hmm.
I don't really give a rat's ass if William Nylander ever wins like a single individual award. Like I could not be less bothered.
Hmm.
I do think there's another player on the Leafs that should be considered for the Lady Bang, and that player is Morgan Riley with his no penalty minutes so far in the season.
Oh,
But
that's a
I
cool
don't.
stat. I didn't realize he had no penalties at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
so I think that to some degree, like, sure, it's cup or bust, but I think that the important thing is that in those moments, he plays with the defensive capability that he's shown us that he has,
Hmm.
and that he is able to elevate the offensive game when going gets tough and goals don't come easily. Now, one of the other good things that the Leafs have this year, at some point when we go into the playoffs, we're not even at game 40 yet, kids, um, is that the Leafs are playing a little bit more physically this year. Now, I don't think that it's the same as Florida Panthers level of physicality and assholiness, or Boston Bruins or Vegas or lots of other teams that are big and brawny and want to just knock your skull out of your brain out of your skull every night. But the Leafs are not as putting soft as they have been in the last couple of years. And so if they can continue to elevate, and William Nylander can continue to play in the games that matter and in these big pressure moments, the
Hmm.
way that a lot of other players on the Leafs haven't been able to, then he lives up to his contract. If he okay, here's the TLDR. If he gets a series winning goal in the second round, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good investment.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think all Leafs fans are saying, yeah, it's they got to win a cup, like you said, right? Um, and I agree. I'm not really too bothered by. I guess like yeah, I do want him to be a point per game player for a significant portion of the contract, right? Because
Sure.
obviously, if you're a point per game player, you're playing up to the contract. You're being the Willy that we signed him for, right? But
Hmm.
what's more important is playoff success. If he is able to play his best hockey or show his best self in the playoffs, that's what he's getting paid for because that's what's important for this franchise and that's what's
Yep.
important for the fans.
Yep.
Now, everyone, we've been live for almost 50 minutes now. Thank you guys for staying in the chat, talking about everything that we're talking about with the Leafs or the Nylander contract, the game or whatnot. We appreciate you guys sticking here and tuning in. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We will be doing the live presser in just a moment, so drop your questions down in there and let us know what you're thinking. Um,
Can we not? Can we put a caveat of that? Please
yeah.
don't ask about what we think Martyr is going to sign for.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't want to have to talk more contract negotiations this season, if at all avoidable.
That's a thought for next season. That's a stress for next season. Forget about that
Yes,
right now,
that's
right?
next year's problem.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Um yeah. Oh, I do have one question in the meantime while the questions are rolling in.
Sure.
So, like you said,
Oh.
there are some gaps or holes in our lineup. Now that this contract has been signed, I know that's a
Hmm.
huge relief probably for Treliving, a huge burden off of his shoulders. Where do you think he looks next? Where do you think his focus is to help
Ooh,
shore up the roster?
that's a good question. I wasn't. You didn't prep me for that.
Do
Damn it.
you want me to give you my answer in the meantime while you
No,
think
no,
of one?
no,
Okay.
no, no, no. It's okay.
Okay.
I can think on the fly. Um, I would imagine that there is at least one defenseman that's traded for,
Hmm.
simply for the fact that I love Mark Giordano. I don't know if he should necessarily be in the Leafs starting lineup in the first game of the playoffs. I do think he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but I also think that playoff miles are significantly harder on people's bodies than regular hockey miles are. So I would imagine that uh, Giordano will stay with the Leafs, but that Timmins will go out the door with another player to create some extra space, to create some extra cap space,
Hmm.
to bring back another person to solidify the our three pairings
Yeah.
so that Giordano can still come in and still play games and still play meaningful minutes,
Hmm.
but that he is not relied upon as the second pair defenseman. You know,
Hmm. Yeah.
that's my guess.
Yeah.
What's your answer, my friend?
Same thing. Defense. We need to double down on that. And like you said, yeah, like Gio, the man's 40 years old. He's not a young buck anymore. He needs
No.
some rest. He needs some minutes off. He needs some restrictions, right? I mean, look at tonight. He played the second most, or sorry, the third most minutes, or I guess like his line played the third most minutes. Um, but it was very close. He's getting a lot of time. He's playing a lot of minutes, and he just came back from injury just like a couple weeks ago, right? So we want to see him healthy. We want to see him contribute, and as you get older, you can't rely on the guy for too much.
Yes.
All right, let's. Did you have you seen any questions in the
There's a
chat?
good question from Matthew here.
Okay.
SDPN, which do you like better, the Sharks home or away jerseys? I like their away ones. I actually think they're both good. I think the Sharks jerseys are actually some of the nicest jerseys in
It's
the
because they're
league.
unique. I think that's the biggest
Yes,
thing. Like they're
yes,
not
they
like the
are.
Lightning's
They're not
copy
just
of the
red, white, and
Leafs.
blue.
Yeah.
I actually like the Sharks home jerseys. I like the teal jerseys. They're pretty sweet. I think the Sharks reverse retro from last year, the Golden Seals tribute, was probably one of the nicest reverse retros last year.
Mm,
Excellent question, Matthew.
that's a good one.
Dr. Firewater. That's not Dr. Pepper at all. What trade can we do to get rid of Sammy for a money in, money out, and what prospects would you be willing to pair with that value have? Steve's Minton picks. I'm okay with all three of those.
Yeah, I don't think
You can't have Matthew Nice and you can't have Easton Cowan, but I'll have a conversation about Fraser Minton. Can't have a conversation about that.
I think Sammy, like you're not gonna get, like, you're gonna have to give up
Yeah.
stuff to get him off the books, and
I
you
think you
just
just
ride
keep
with
him
it.
down in the
Yeah.
minors and you walk him hand in hand to July 1st.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't really do much
No,
about Samsonov. He's
no.
making 2.4 million. He's going to be done at the end of this season. Just hold on to him and kind of hope and pray that he picks up his form. Because yeah, I don't think we're going to move him, and especially not ship assets for 2.4 mil. I don't think that makes any sense.
Yeah. Fernanda Nascimento. What grade do you guys give to Brad so far? That's a great question.
Mm.
I think Brad has had some hits and some misses. I think the fact that we have a goaltender that's got 932 save percentage right now is because of him. I think that the reason we didn't pay Samsonov $5 million in a 3-year contract is because of him. I also think that Ryan Reeves at $1.125 million is because of him. And John Klingberg, who's now on LTIR, is because of him.
Mhm.
It's been he has had complete nuggets of solid uncut raw diamond, and then a horse apple in the other hand. Like, just he has got Jones and Gregor, who has been a phenomenal addition this season, and then horse poop on the other side.
Yeah.
So I think I think he's got a I think he's riding a solid, because the Leafs are playing well and because Jones is playing as well defensively as he is. I
Uh-huh.
think he gets a B plus. I think if our goaltending is completely fallen off and Jones has like an 850 or the same percentage that he had last year, we're talking about a C minus. I think
Mhm.
Jones is the game changer, the needle mover in this situation.
Yeah, I think you hit it right there. I would also give him like a B, B plus. It really just depends on how Jones continues to play, because again, we are gonna have to rely on him for the rest of the season and moving into the playoffs as well. He is gonna have to be a serviceable and a good backup, which he has been so far, right? But yeah, he has had some misses. He has had some great successes and some players that have turned around, right? So like Bertuzzi is a guy that Bertuzzi and Domi are
Yep.
guys that we were very cold on because they started very poorly, but
Ice
have
cold.
slowly, yeah, they have slowly turned their season
Yep.
around and they are contributing and playing a lot better hockey.
Yep.
Um, so I would give him a B. I mean, he really hasn't had a lot of time. He didn't have a lot of time to ramp up, get familiarized,
Yeah.
and get his feet under him before he had to, or before he got thrown into the fire, right? So I think he's
I
done
mean,
okay with what he's had and what he's
I
had to
didn't
work with.
even Mark Daigle bring up a good point. Benoit and Lagerson too. He brought both of those guys in and
Yeah,
they've been found value.
and we've
Um
needed them, especially with the
yeah,
the issues that
100,
we've had on
and they have
defense.
played so well, man.
Oh
Like
yeah,
Simone Benoit is making the
the
Anaheim
big
Ducks look
hits.
silly.
Oh yeah,
Look
yeah,
silly.
and
Like
he's
he
exactly
left
the
the game
what we
tonight.
needed. Uh-huh.
Yes, he goes out tonight. He gets a stick to the face, goes off, gets stitches, comes back, and on like his first shift, he completely levels one of the San Jose
Yep.
Sharks.
Uh-huh.
Like, just and he's not weak defensively. He doesn't make stupid plays.
Hmm.
He doesn't make stupid pass choices to
Hmm.
try and cheat for offense. I mean, they showed a stat tonight, and he like has the lowest goals expected.
Against, yeah,
Uh,
for all the Leafs
yeah, on all the
defensemen.
Leafs,
Yeah.
but like he's pretty good, man. Like I don't know what I thought I was expecting. Like I was actually at the preseason game where he took 3 penalties, and I was like, this fucking guy. And then, but ever since the beginning of the season, he's been like one of the Leafs' most impressive surprises
Hmm.
to me. So I get that's why I give Brad a B plus. Like I think the only way that he gets to an A is if he signs Matt Dumba instead of John Klingberg.
Go back in time,
That's
eh?
how you go. Yeah. Like if you sign a defenseman that is uninjured and actually plays pretty well and is like a defensive stay-at-home defenseman like Matt Dumba,
Hmm.
then he gets to the A level.
Yeah.
So there's your constructive feedback, Bradley. I'm glad you asked me for it.
There you go. And one quick thing before we do end off. That also I guess that credit also has to go to our coaching staff, because as much as we dog on them
Yes.
when the Leafs are playing bad or have some
Yep.
issues, a huge reason why they have, I guess, blossomed into the players that they are this season is
Yep.
because of coaching and making sure we develop them correctly. And again, that goes for the guy we just signed to, William Nylander.
Yep.
He was a guy that we worked on, we brought in and have worked on. And I mean, if you redraft that, I'm sure he goes way higher up, even though he was eighth overall on that
Mhm.
draft year. So yeah, shout out to them. We've been going on for quite a while now, Lauren. I think we should end it off here. Um,
Time flies when you're having fun, Harnish.
yep. The next game, when is that? Thursday.
Thursday.
Oh, that's with me and Armand too. I should know that. We play the Islanders on Thursday, so be sure to tune in there. We'll be live as always after the game. And for everyone that's still around, that's listened, thank you. We appreciate it as always. Be sure to like the episode. Be sure to hit subscribe. We are so close to that 100,000 subs. That's gonna be amazing when we hit that. But that's gonna do it here from us. Lauren, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on X at Lauren in the 6.
There you go. And you can find myself at Harnish underscore Patel 98 on X. Have a great evening, everyone. We will see you later.
See you later, everybody.